Hey everybody, my name's Kyle, and this is Track by Track, music reviews, news, and commentary. I have never owned an 8-track player. Growing up in the 70s, music in my household was played on vinyl. I have no memory of my family ever owning music on 8-track during my lifetime. Of course, during the 80s, my personal music format of choice was the cassette tape, followed by the compact disc in the 90s and beyond. So while I understand the nostalgia associated with vinyl and, to a certain degree, cassettes, I can't relate to the 8-track at all. So when the new St. Vincent album was announced recently, I was completely surprised to see that one of the formats available would be, you guessed it, 8-track. Naturally, there's CD and vinyl editions, and for those of you who want it, there's cassettes as well. But 8-track? Really? Are we actually on the verge of an 8-track tape revival? The answer? Probably not. It's clear that the album Daddy's Home by St. Vincent is being marketed with a retro 70s flair. Stylistically, I can appreciate that. I can see how a cassette release fits in with that, though I don't exactly know who the market is for that. And to be fair, music on 8-track totally fits in with the vibe she's going for here. Still, does anyone actually have a functioning 8-track player you could even play this on? I wondered if maybe you could still buy a new retro-style 8-track tape player like the retro Crosley turntables that honestly no self-respecting music fan should rely on as their primary vinyl player. Anyway, I was relieved, I guess, to see that no, you cannot buy a new 8-track player on Amazon. That's actually ironic, though, because you can buy this 2020 Dolly Parton Christmas album on 8-track exclusively from Amazon. But let's be realistic here. Nobody is buying these things with the intent of actually playing them, or at least not having these 8-tracks be their sole method of listening to this music. If the people buying these actually have functioning 8-track players to play them on, I'd guess they'd only do so once or twice for fun. Otherwise, they'll probably either stream the music or buy a second copy on CD or vinyl. And incidentally, I'd actually be very reluctant to stick a new 8-track into an old player for fear the tape might get eaten. When you consider the price, that's an especially valid concern. Of all the available versions of Daddy's Home, the 8-track is the most expensive option. Fans will need to pay a premium to own this music on such a nostalgic format. Not surprisingly, the St. Vincent release is actually a limited edition with only 500 units available worldwide. I'm positive they'll sell out, just as I'm positive virtually none of them will ever actually get played. Because at the end of the day, this is a gimmick. This is a well-themed piece of memorabilia aimed squarely at the die-hard fans that would love to have such a curiosity as part of their music collection. And while I've perhaps been a bit cynical in the past about artists releasing multiple album variants in order to take advantage of a rabid fan base or manipulate chart positions, I'm actually okay with what St. Vincent is doing here. Is buying music on 8-track in 2021 ridiculous? Arguably, yes. But I don't think you're really buying music in this case. You're buying an artifact, a curio, and as I suggested earlier, a physical representation of the music these buyers will most likely be consuming digitally. It's a more tangible version of what 9 Inch Nails did a couple years ago when they offered abstract objects as a physical component for buyers of their digital EPs. There's no exclusive bonus tracks. There's no true benefit to owning the album on 8-track over or in addition to vinyl and CD or digital. It's just for fun. Not necessarily my kind of fun. I've pre-ordered the album on CD, a format some of you might consider equally antiquated. That's a conversation for another day. Meanwhile, I hope the Daddy's Home 8-track makes you chuckle as much as I did. A bit nervously, though, I'll admit. I truly hope an 8-track revival isn't on the horizon. If it happens, though, dust off those old Creedence or Waylon Jennings cartridges you've got buried in your attic. They might finally be worth something. Once again, my name's Kyle, and this has been Track by Track. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.